So, hello everybody. We've got Sam on the podcast today. Sam, I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us when you graduated from Riley and where you're at now.
So my name is Sam Moran. I am a class of 2017 graduate of Riley High School. I'm currently a junior majoring in industrial engineering technology at Purdue University.
All right, down in main campus, right?
Main campus, yep, West Lafayette.
West Lafayette. And Sam and I still have smiles on our face from Saturday's basketball win.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's just talk about Riley for a little bit. What were some of the things that you were involved with at Riley High School?
So I did baseball and tennis for sports, and I tried to be as involved as I possibly could at Riley. So I was in Science Olympiad, Quiz Bowl, National Honor Society, class officers, mentors. I tried to do just about everything I possibly could. I had a pretty packed schedule, but I was involved in all of those.
What about some classes? What were some of your favorite classes that you took?
I would have to say physics was probably my favorite class there. Mrs. Leonard was awesome. I just loved coming into class every day. She always had energy, and it really made not just me, but everyone in the class excited to learn. And it was the same thing with a lot of the engineering classes as well. When I had U for digital electronics, that was my favorite engineering class that I took at Riley. Same thing with you. I mean, you always had a sense of passion and enthusiasm, and it made me excited to learn about the material, and it was really fun.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, if you would have stuck with Mrs. Leonard, I would have agreed with you. You didn't have to say me too, but I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your favorite projects that you did while in high school?
So my favorite project probably would be the breadboard that we did in DE. I really enjoyed that one. Just kind of getting like wiring and all that stuff. It was really interesting to me, and there was a lot that went into it, and you had to be pretty meticulous. You know, if it was off by one little bit, it would throw the whole thing off. Just little details like that I kind of enjoyed. There was also another project that I did in CEA with Mr. Modlin. It was like designing a house, I believe it was. And I thought Autodesk Revit was really cool, and that was a pretty interesting project that I did as well. So I would say those two are probably my favorites in high school.
Okay, so you mentioned you're in industrial engineering.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have something similar to industrial engineering in our high school. Why'd you pick industrial engineering?
I picked industrial engineering because I really enjoyed the engineering classes that we had at Riley, and I knew that was kind of a path that I wanted to go towards with the math and science. But I also kind of looked at my personality type. Like, my dad's a businessman, and I like to interact with people a lot and just being able to talk to people. So maybe something towards business as well. When I was looking at all the majors that Purdue offered, especially in Polytech, it mentioned that this was the most business-related engineering. You know, there's a lot of interacting between people with the industrial engineering major. And I figured that's probably the one for me. It gets me the best of both worlds with business and engineering. Both my interests and personality come together. So I felt that was the best fit. And so far, it's been incredible.
So you're a junior already. Have you had any internships?
Yes. So I had my first internship this past summer. Well, it was actually summer and fall semester. So it was 7 months long. I missed the fall semester. It was up in Wisconsin at Kohler Company. So you might have seen like their bathroom stuff or gas engines, for lawnmowers. So I worked with them in their engines division, and that was an awesome experience. People up there were so nice, very intelligent people. It was just an incredible environment to be in.
Awesome. Just out of curiosity, are you going to continue that same internship, or are you trying to branch out and explore other things?
So I actually have a different internship. It'll be in Wichita, Kansas this upcoming summer. Yeah, so I've really grown fond of the aviation industry over the last couple of years. As you probably know, Purdue is really big into flight here, and I have a bunch of friends that are in professional flight. And just talking with them about the aviation industry, it just kind of sparked an interest in me. And I was like, you know what, I'll talk to this company at one of the career fairs that was aviation. And I thought it was an incredible fit, and Spirit Aerosystems is their name. I'll be interning with them this summer.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you.
I hate to bring this up to you. I just got back from the Project Lead the Way Summit, and we've been planning this for a couple months now. But we're going to offer aerospace engineering at Riley next year.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible! Wow.
So I might have to have you back, or if you're ever in town, like have you come speak after you've done your internship and everything. And so let's kind of step back and talk about some clubs and sports you were involved in so much. What were some of your favorite memories of those things?
Science Olympiad State was always one that I highlighted every year. That was such a fun trip. The challenges that the state tournament provided were pretty difficult, and I'm sure a lot of my friends and Mr. Brubaker, Mrs. Leonard, they all know very well. But like going down to IU, just kind of traveling with the team, that was always super fun. Yeah, definitely, that was probably my favorite, was going down to IU for the state tournament at Science Olympiad.
You know what? Two Boilermakers, I can agree. Going down to IU for a weekend is pretty fun.
It is.
You know,
you're a little too long, and you're like, yeah.
And so my students always enjoy this question. What was your most embarrassing moment in high school?
Mr. Ponder, that's a really easy one. So my very first day of high school, most embarrassing, probably the most embarrassing day of my life. So I came into high school, I was pretty small. I was like 5'4"-ish, like cracking 100 pounds, barely. And when I walked in the doors, I was so nervous. Like everyone was so much bigger than me. And I was just like anxious, like is someone going to beat me up or whatever. So I get into the first class. It was Algebra 2 with Mr. Metcalf. And I was sitting in the back of the class, and I remember just feeling terrible, like to my stomach. And like 10 minutes into class, I end up throwing up in the back of class. Yeah. And everyone turns around and looks at me, and like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? I just like stand up and I just like leave, because there was nothing else I could do. It was just like the worst feeling in the world. I wouldn't wish that on anyone else. I know a lot of my friends were in that class as well. They kind of like they checked up on me later in the day, like, hey man, you doing okay and stuff. So that was really nice. It was a pretty kind of traumatic experience, but it's something that I can like kind of look back and like laugh on a little bit. Just like a crazy first day of high school, So yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
I think that's the topper so far. That's rough.
Yeah, well, exactly.
The high school career got better from there. You can
go up. It could only go up.
If you could tell 14-year-old Sam something, what would it be? Walking into high school on day one, I think we know, but what?
Yeah. I would tell him to try not to take like the back seat to a lot of people. Like, don't try to be a follower, but instead try to take a little bit more initiative. I know that was something that I really struggled with up until probably like my halfway through my senior year of high school. I was pretty quiet. I didn't really go out of my way to do a lot of things, but being able to take initiative, being more of a leader, or at least practicing being a leader, because it's going to be huge in the future. You're going to have to, like, I know in some of my groups right now that I'm in, everybody is just really like introverted, and sometimes you just have to take the lead and kind of push this team along. And that's something that I don't know if I could have done when I was 13 or 14 years old. So being able to take initiative and, just put yourself out there a little more, I feel like that's something that I could have benefited from at 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty strong with any career, and especially in industrial engineering. You've got all these ideas to make the company better or the team better, and you've got to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk, right?
Absolutely.
And then you're also in a fraternity. So what kind of like leadership roles do you have down there?
So I've been involved in a bunch of committees. I think the one that I've enjoyed the most has been the academics chair. I've been in charge of keeping these guys, up to standard with their grades and everything, providing study tables, studying resources, tutors if they need it, that sort of deal. Being able to organize that, I thought that was really beneficial to, growing as a person a little bit, was taking that responsibility, because there were a lot of guys that really needed help, and I was able to help them with that.
Who has inspired you to get to where you're at?
I would say my dad, probably the most. He works 3 jobs. He's always busy. He never really likes to relax. He likes to challenge himself, and that's something that I like to do as well. Is I don't really like to sit back and just kind of this is gonna be a lazy day. I like to stay moving. I like to continue to learn, and he's definitely that way. And he's always got a smile on his face. Like he's never seems too stressed or overwhelmed. But he's always trying to grow, and I think that's something that's been huge. He's definitely been a big inspiration for me.
He's been in a lot of your baseball games and your tennis matches.
Absolutely. I don't think he missed one.
What do you suggest students get involved with at Riley High School?
I would recommend some of the academic clubs. I know Science Olympiad, from my experience, was a great one because, obviously, like I wasn't keen on every single. Okay, so Science Olympiad has a bunch of different events that you can do. And I wasn't keen on like some of them. It's like forensics. I wasn't huge on, but there seems to be something for everybody, at least academically. I liked to build things, so naturally I was in towers and bridges and that sort of stuff. I also liked writing reports, so I was in experimental design. But there's a bunch of different events that you can do. So I feel like being involved in an academic club can really help you kind of meet a kind of group that's just like a good group to be around. They're usually really good people. I enjoyed every minute being in Science Olympiad. I highly recommend that. Quiz Bowl is another one. Kind of test your knowledge a little bit. It's pretty fun. Has a little fun spin on Jeopardy. Yep. And then also, I mean, I know not everyone is athletic, so sports aren't necessarily that, but yeah, I would say those are my recommendations.
Yeah, and we're the Science Olympiad is keeping the tradition alive. Just qualified for state again.
Woo! All right.
They'll be heading down to Bloomington again, and I think like the streak continues from when you were a freshman or a sophomore or something. So it's been a long, long time.
Oh yeah, I think it was actually a couple years before I got there. Yeah, that we've had this streak going. So that's incredible. I'm glad to hear that. Good for them. Congratulations.
Many of our students go on to Purdue. What would be some things that you suggest they get involved with down at Purdue?
There are, gosh, I can't even tell you how many clubs. I think Purdue boasts this, like they have 1,000 clubs or something like that. When I was in the dorms here, I was a senator for the Tarkington Halberdier Club. So if you want to like make changes to or make improvements to your dorm, that's your opportunity. Or there's other things like Purdue University Dance Marathon, where you dance for like 24 hours and you raise money for cancer. And that's usually a huge thing here. A lot of people are involved in. That's another thing. It seems like there's a club for just about anyone and everyone. I think pretty sure there's like a Quidditch club here too, like for your Harry Potter fans. I play club baseball here, so there's a bunch of club sports. There's also a Quiz Bowl club, but that knowledge is way beyond me now. So yeah, I would definitely say try to be involved in 1 or 2 clubs while you're at Purdue. I know they have fairs that kind of advertise those a little bit. So being able to go to those fairs and just check them out. I have friends that joined the line dancing club. I mean, it's random stuff like that, just to kind of spice up, your day. You don't want to waste the 4 years that you're in college because you're supposed to be some of the best of your life. So you don't really want to waste them,
What's your favorite part about Purdue? You've been to some basketball games, some football stuff. What's your favorite part about being down there?
I think, honestly, for me, the people, because they come from all over the place. I have friends from New York City. I have friends from California, friends from Texas, Florida, all over the place. Being able to make those connections that, just about wherever you go, you're going to know somebody in kind of the area. But also, as you mentioned, the basketball games, the football games are always a blast. I always loved going to Riley, Riley football and basketball games in high school. But it's like those on steroids, So it's crazy, especially like when ESPN or the Big Ten network's in town for a big game. Everyone kind of gets hyped up the whole day. That's definitely one of my favorite parts. But yeah, I think the one that's on top is just the people that you meet here are just incredible. Yeah, I've met a ton of just absolutely genuine, fantastic people, very, very intelligent people since I've been here.
What has been your favorite class that you've taken?
I think my favorite class was computer graphics and technology class. It was a lot of CAD. I kind of enjoyed that stuff, but I also kind of enjoyed it because I had a little bit of a leg up on everyone else, so I felt kind of, good at it compared to everyone else. So that was pretty interesting. We designed a tank, I believe, and we put it in motion. So we animated it, and it had the barrel move up and down as it was moving and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Now that you're moving on and getting ready to graduate in a year or so, what's the next plan? What's next?
I mean, I've always had my heart and my eyes set on somewhere in Chicago. I've always just loved the city. I could see myself working there someday. I know that there's a couple aviation companies, if I still want to continue that route, that are headquartered in Chicago, Boeing, United. There's some smaller ones as well. I could totally see myself doing something like that. If not, I mean, I'm totally open to, moving anywhere. But that's the ultimate goal, was to live in Chicago someday.
That is one thing Sam and I always talked about, were the Cubs.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this season, counting down.
I am too. I'm a little nervous there hasn't been some movement with the roster, but
there's speculation that they might trade Chris Bryant, and I just don't know what to believe anymore. It's kind of scary, but I'm staying optimistic.
I'm staying optimistic. I mean, I'm a public school teacher and a Cubs fan for life, so
yeah.
I'm staying optimistic. You're right. And Theo makes way more money and is way smarter than me. So
yeah,
so hopefully he's on top of it. Where do the Cubs finish in the division?
Oh man, see, do you want my fan answer or my real answer, like baseball fan?
Okay, so the fan answer first is...
Well, I'll say the Cubs, win 95 games, 100 games, and, they take the division. That's,
right.
Of course. But realistically, I see them sitting probably second or third, hovering around 85 wins. The Reds absolutely reloaded this year. They're going to be scary. The Cardinals are always a challenge. They're usually pretty well put together. The Brewers are definitely going to fall off. They lost a bunch of guys, and the Pirates are about the same.
And just all these trades at the Dodgers just this past weekend just scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, even if you make it to the NLCS, you're going to be playing the Dodgers anyway, and they're so powerful nowadays. That's just not much you can do.
All right, so let's go to Purdue basketball.
Yes.
All right, we had a good win this weekend.
Sure did.
Where are we finishing in the Big Ten, and are we making the tournament?
I will say yes, we'll make the tournament. Probably a 9-10 seed. We'll be right on the bubble, but we'll make it in.
Okay.
And then in the Big Ten, I say we finish about 4th. Illinois is really good this year. Michigan State's pretty good at home, not on the road. And Maryland and Rutgers are pretty tough as well.
Do you have tickets for the upcoming game? I haven't looked at the schedule yet. So what do we have upcoming at Mackey?
Penn State tomorrow.
Okay.
And I want to say Michigan is coming up here soon at Mackey. And I know Rutgers is, I think, the last game of the season at Mackey. I think we have 4 or 5 more.
All right. And so you've got home tickets. You'll be there?
Oh, yeah. I don't miss a game.
All right.
I'm always in the lower bowl, too. I always try to get as close as possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be looking for you. Let's kind of wrap this up because we've gone from Riley to academics to now we got a sports talk podcast going on, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, me too.
And I know you were on another sports talk podcast over winter break, right?
Yes. Yeah. That was Jake and
Josh.
That
with? And let's give them a shout out.
Yeah, Jake and Josh Toppin. Heck yeah.
So Jake and Josh Toppin, they're other Riley grads, and do they have a regular podcast that goes on?
Well, Jake is a sports communication major down at IU. I know that he does podcasts quite often. He does a radio show once a week. I believe it's on Monday mornings. And I think Josh was just tagging along for that one that we did, but it was still really fun. I mean, he had some good takes. Jake obviously had some pretty good takes as well. It was a great time. I had a blast.
I want to kind of wrap it up, but with what is your definition of success?
Honestly, whatever makes you happy. If you're happy, I feel like, that's really a lot of what matters is, you wake up every day and you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do. You set goals for yourself and you meet those goals, and, you have the right people in your life. If you're surrounded by good friends and family and you're in a career that you enjoy, I would call that a pretty successful life, honestly. And that's something I work toward. I have my goals, obviously. Like, I want to, be in aviation. I want to live in Chicago. Obviously, I want to have a family someday, as most people do. But being able to fulfill those things, and just being where I'm happy, I'd call that a pretty good success.
Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much.
We're all proud of you and everybody else that we have. So keep it up.
Yes. Yeah.
And best of luck this semester.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Mr. Ponder.